I got there one last thing before
Sure.
we get going here. I think I mentioned this to you. I always feel horrible about how much I talk. It really is one of my biggest problems. And I'm aware of it. I know it. Can't really do anything about it.
No.
And I'm watching these podcasts with Brian Williams.
Yeah.
And he would ask a question because I'm a big believer in my television days. You ask a question to someone, if they talk for longer than 20 seconds, they've changed the subject. It's really true. It's very close, but it's true. In television news, you very seldom see sound bites that go longer than 15, 18 seconds.
Yeah.
Because if they do, they pretty much change the subject of the question.
Makes sense.
And it's not absolute, but I tell you, it's 90% of that. And so I'm watching last night, and he had Tom Hanks on for 30 minutes, and I think he might have asked him 3 or 4 questions.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks would talk for 4 to 5 minutes. And they would ask him, what was the thinking when you did Private Ryan? And before he shuts up, he's talking about Catch Me If You Can, Big, Castaway,
Yeah.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you shit about that. And
well,
so I get off, and I know this is another long rant, but
that's okay. So I love it.
I get off, and I tell this to the lovely Mrs. Hansen. I said, I am no longer going to apologize for dominating the conversation because, by God, Tom Hanks did it, and it was great. And she looks right at me, and this is why we've been married for 44 years. She looks right at me and she goes, yeah, but Tom Hanks is really interesting.
I will tell you, when you joined me the first time, and I was telling everyone, I said, Dale was the best interview ever because you asked him a question.
Yeah.
And 20 minutes later, I'm like, okay, I didn't know. I love where we're going.
I'm the easiest.
Yeah.
I always tell, I'm the easiest interview you're ever going to do because you're not going to have to really worry about a second or third question if you don't want to.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. This is Jesse, and you're listening to a B-side episode of Set Lusting Bruce. On these special episodes, we step outside the Springsteen universe and shine a light on the artists, stories, and passions that bring people joy. Not every guest is a Bruce fan, and that's the fun of it. Today's conversation is all about music, memories, or creative spark that moves them. Every joy counts, and every fan has something worth sharing. So settle in, enjoy this detour down a different musical highway. Let's get started. Welcome to Set Lusting Bruce. Dale Hansen is nice enough to come back. I loved our discussion last time. I know we're going to talk about Nelly, Don Nelson passing away, but I'm going to throw you a curveball, and I don't think this will be a tough one for you. I saw Rod Stewart is facing some health issues. Obviously want to send the best for him, but if you don't mind, when did you first discover Rod, and what about his music spoke to you?
The first time that I saw him was in Phoenix at the Cowboys Super Bowl in '96.
Okay.
The first time I'd seen him live. And Greg Aiello was the public relations director for the Cowboys. So he got us tickets to see Rod Stewart. We were in the second row. And so this would have been 30 years ago. And so Rod Stewart would have been 51. And I was aware of him. Sure. I think I might have said to you during the Springsteen podcast, I'm aware of a great number of musical acts and singers, but it's much like actors. Yeah, I'm aware, but I'm not a student of any of it. Like I would argue you are, for example, with Springsteen. But I just loved it. I didn't like it. I just loved it. I love his persona on stage, which I think is probably the main thing that grabbed me. Maggie May, Forever Young, even like covers that We're Having a Party. Some Men Have All the Luck, which they're going to play at my funeral, by the way. My funeral has already been set up for Rod Stewart. When you walk in, it'll be Rod Stewart's We're Having a Party.
Okay.
In the middle of it, there'll be maybe a video tribute to the music of Some Men Have All the Luck. And then as the service ends, it will be Forever Young.
Nice.
And my only real regret is that I'm going to be dead and I won't be there to hear it. But I just kind of the beat of it as much as anything. I think I told you this before. I love songs that tell a story. I think the Maggie May song tells a story. The one he does, I don't know titles, whatever. but he's got a great song, which is basically about the bombings during World War II. And he was just a baby. I just love something like that. But I think at the end of the day, you're too young for this, but it's when they would grade songs on American Bandstand with Dick Clark.
Remember?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I give it a 92. It's got a nice beat and it's easy to dance to. And I think I wasn't out of my chair, but the lovely Mrs. Hansen was up dancing to almost every song because she could really dance.
Yes.
And I just said I enjoy the music, but I just loved everything about it. I love the gravelly voice,
Yes.
much like I do with Springsteen's. I'm not, for some strange reason, I'm not overly impressed with people who supposedly have the greatest voice ever. I don't even know what that really means. Because my standard line is for basically for Springsteen and Stewart both. The great advantage they have is when their voice goes bad, how are you really going to know?
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was at that Super Bowl in '96, and I just went nuts. I went there with the full anticipation of, yeah, well, this will be cool. I've seen a lot of musical acts.
Sure.
And I like music. I like to be entertained.
Right.
I really thought, this will be another one.
Yeah.
It'll kill off a Saturday night or Friday night, whatever. I think it was Saturday night before the Super Bowl. And I just left that arena just absolutely stunned with how much I loved it. I love his band almost as much as I love the Springsteen band.
Yeah.
The young woman who plays the violin or fiddle or whichever one you want to call it, she just blows me away. So
yeah.
And again, it's far and away my single favorite musical act right now. Yeah.
I can remember I was probably in high school, so that's in the 70s, maybe. But I remember he was on some TV show and someone talked about one of the best entertainers. And my mom and dad, who grew up on country, but my mom did say, you got to agree with that about Rod Stewart. He is just something.
Well,
that is
when
nice.
He was younger and running the stage more. It's funny. I've watched him slow down, much as Springsteen has a little bit. I remember in Dallas, Springsteen came running across the stage, dropped to his knees, and slid right up to the edge. You remember?
Yeah.
In Austin, he didn't move very much.
No.
He still does a nice job catching the guitars, as we talked about.
Yeah.
But he doesn't jump and run, and somewhat I can attest to. It's just fact. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
But Stewart, it really does bother me because the reality is he's 81 years old.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be at the Iowa State Fair. My sister was all excited. She was going to go see him just through osmosis of knowing how much I love him. She even talked at one time about maybe you ought to come back. And I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But it's sad because I hope it's nothing too serious, but 81 is pretty serious.
Yeah.
78, 76 for Springsteen, 81 for Stewart, whatever. We're pretty much into the serious phase if we sneeze.
Yeah, there is certainly less room on the road in front of us as there was behind us. But good thoughts.
But again, he just blows me away. So we did this thing a couple of years back. It's been, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't really care what they do once I'm dead. I really don't.
Yeah.
Because I'm not even going to be at my own funeral. So I'm going to miss it. But I did lay it out that if you really do want to do something, this is what I would like it to be.
Yeah.
And the two things that are the most important to me, basically all three, but the one of we're having a party is what I want my memorial service to be.
Yes.
People are going to roast me. I've got buddies of mine that are going to roast me. I don't want that religious crying nonsense.
Yeah.
Let's just celebrate this crazy man that we don't have to listen to anymore. And then, which I believe, I hope it doesn't come off as arrogant, but I've got a producer that I trust a great deal that'll put it together properly.
Yeah.
I have been so incredibly lucky in my life. That song always spoke to me that some men have all the luck because I've got more than my share of it.
Yeah.
And then this is the funny part. This is how bad I am about music. I thought the Forever Young was an actual copy of Bob Dylan's Forever Young, and which I was fine with because I love Dylan, but yeah, it's kind of hard to understand sometimes.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
So I said, no, let's do Rod Stewart's version of Forever Young, only to find out, and that song is, I'm sorry, I don't know all the ins and outs of that. Maybe you do, but that song is really close. There was
Yeah.
a lawsuit over that, and I absolutely could understand why.
Sure.
I love Rod Stewart. I think he's written some great music over the years. Not so sure he didn't steal that one. I mean, that one's really close, but I did feel a little bit better about it that I guess they settled whatever differences they had.
Good.
And it is Rod Stewart's original legitimate song. But I also like Sam Cooke a great deal. So I'm using We're Having a Party.
Oh, Sam Cooke, so great.
Oh, he's unbelievable. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite songs too.
Yeah.
I just love that kind of a beat, that kind of
Yes.
old time rock and roll.
Absolutely. Speaking of, Don Nelson left us.
Yeah.
I reached out to you. You were very kind last time we were on and said, "Hey, Jesse, whenever you want, let me know." I took that I didn't want to take that for granted, but I did think if talk about probably some stories.
Yeah.
So do you want to share a little bit? Do you remember
got
first
two.
meeting him?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hired, and this kind of is in the chronological order too, as well.
Yeah.
I've got one story that's kind of dark, funny as hell to me, but dark.
Okay.
And then this is the one when I first met him. So basically, all the teams, they would bring the coach. I would have the interview with the head coach, the one-on-one interview.
Sure.
And so I've got Don Nelson on my show, and I took him out to Trophy Club. I was playing golf at a Trophy Club back in those days. And I took him out to Trophy Club, and we played golf and had a few beers and swapped stories because he played at University of Iowa. And I'm from Iowa. And at night, there's a station, WHO, in Des Moines, Iowa, which is kind of like WBAP. It's a 50,000 watt station.
Okay.
That on a good clear night, you could hear it all over the state. So I'm right outside Omaha. Des Moines is a couple hundred miles away, but I'm listening.
Yeah.
Here's the story. And it was a tremendous story. I was like 13 years old. It was 1961. So I'm 13 years old. Don Nelson is a junior playing for the University of Iowa, the Hawkeyes basketball team. At the semester break, 4 starters flunk out. 4 starters flunk out. They had a very good basketball team that year. Very good basketball team. Finished second in the Big Ten, even after they flunked out. But this was back in the day, Jess, when academic requirements were actually applied. It's a quaint notion.
Yes.
But athletes actually had to go to school. Young people won't believe this, but there was a day when athletes used to have to go to school. So anyway, 4 of the starters on this very good basketball team flunk out. They actually recruited players off the football team. There's a kid, I'll never forget it, a kid named Matt Ciccone was the quarterback. They recruited him to come play point guard for the basketball team. In February of 61, they're playing Ohio State, which was the #1 team in the country. And that team had Jerry Lucas, who played for the Knicks and was the college player of the year, John Havlicek, who went on to have this Hall of Fame career with the Boston Celtics. Bobby Knight played on that basketball team. It was loaded. It was loaded. So it's just going to be an ass kicking that Iowa will never recover from. The score is 62-61 in the final seconds. The shot is missed. Jim Zabel's doing the play-by-play. And he goes, Nelson tips, it falls off. Nelson tips it again, it falls off. Nelson tips it again, it falls off. And the Hawkeyes lose 62-61 to one of the greatest college basketball teams ever. It was Don Nelson, the football quarterback, Matt Ciccone, and 3 guys named Bob playing on the team. And Don Nelson has 3 tips at the rim, and all 3 of them rolled off. So you fast forward 20 plus years, here comes Don Nelson to Channel 8 Studios. And I'm interviewing him about, so what are you going to do with this guy? How are you going to recover from it? All the typical stuff. I said, by the way, before we go, I have just one question. You couldn't get one of those tips to fall against Ohio State? And that's all I said. you couldn't just get one of those tips to fall against Ohio State. And he just cracks up. And I said, you had 3 shots at it. And he's rocking in the chair. And then he looks at me and he goes, I played for Boston. I've coached in New York. I've coached in Milwaukee. 30 years have gone by. Nobody has ever asked me. You are the first guy that ever asked me about how the hell could I not get one of those tips to fall in against Ohio State? And I said, it's been bugging me. I said, then I tell this guy, I said, yeah, I was 13 years old. I was in my bed listening to the radio. And then after the show, we just start talking. He tells the whole story again, which I basically all knew.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of, I'm not going to pretend to tell you that I knew him incredibly well.
Yeah.
But I obviously knew him. We had a very good working relationship. I always enjoyed him. But I think that kind of set it up.
Yeah.
He actually got off a play. Channel A did a 20-year roast of me after my 20-year anniversary. And the Mavericks were coming back from a road trip. And the plane landed at 5:30 in the afternoon. And Don Nelson actually got off the plane, drove to Richardson to I forget, the Eisman Center, I think it's called.
Yeah.
A big, beautiful facility in Richardson where we were doing the roast, and appeared at the roast.
Wow.
Now, he told a couple of very crude jokes, didn't put a lot of effort into craft.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's Don Nelson making the effort to come to Richardson to show up for my roast. So I really enjoyed the guy. I enjoyed my time with him. I thought he was an unbelievable basketball coach. But he lived a pretty good life. He had a good life, had a good run, all that kind of good stuff. So.
Did you ever get to play poker with him?
No, but I've got that's the dark story I was going to share with you.
All right.
This is an outrageously, in my world, a funny story. As you mentioned, he played in Hawaii all the time. And we're at Havana Cigar Bar. I don't remember exactly the occasion, but he joins me for a drink and a cigar. He liked to smoke his cigars. When he wasn't smoking weed, of course. He loved his weed. He liked to smoke a cigar. So we're over at Havana Cigar Bar right there at Victory Park, right outside the arena. And anyway, we're sitting there having a glass of wine and smoking a cigar. And he tells me about this poker game that he had at his place in Maui. Willie Nelson was there. And he said, Willie Nelson would roll a joint. And he said, it didn't look like your typical marijuana cigarette. I guess I'm not a smoker. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was like a cigar. He said, Willie would roll these joints and it looked like a cigar. And he'd put one in everybody's tray before the game starts. I love this about Don Nelson. He called his mom in Illinois, living right there on the border between Illinois and Iowa, and calls his mom, and Willie Nelson sings to her over the phone.
Wow.
He hands Willie Nelson the phone, and Willie Nelson, and I said, you know, you're Don Nelson, right? And he said, no. My mom was blown away that her little boy knows Willie Nelson. And I've done that a few times in my life.
Told the story about Mickey Mantle's autograph. That was, you feel, one of the few times your dad was actually proud of you.
The only time, maybe the only time. But my dad couldn't believe that I had a picture and a signed baseball and a 1-hour conversation, which eventually became like 3 different conversations with Mickey Mantle. Yeah. So exactly right. And then I took Troy Aikman back home for a graduation ceremony. My parents were more impressed that I knew Troy Aikman than they were about any part of my life. There's no question about that. And again, but it was still, you're Don Nelson. You played in the NBA. You won NBA championships. You made millions of dollars coaching the New York Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks. And your mom is just reduced to tears that her little boy knows Willie Nelson, who's singing to her over the. Do you ever remember a guy, B.J. Thomas?
Yes, sure.
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Absolutely.
And I had him singing at one of my charity functions one year,
Yeah.
and my mom and dad had come down for it. And I told BJ that you are going to do Raindrops, obviously. It's my mom's favorite song. Well, of course, it's like one of his biggest hits.
Yeah.
And he just, right in the middle of the show, he said, I want to sing this for Willie Hansen here. Dale's mom loves this song almost as much. And he's looking right at her. Whoosh,
Yeah.
the tears. And BJ Thomas walks over to the edge of the stage and just stares my mom down as he sings Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
Oh.
And my mom just never, ever got over that.
Sure.
She being in, and I think probably Don Nelson's mom was in some similar situation, living in Illinois. Who the hell are you really going to know? Who are you going to
Sure.
meet? My mom and dad living in Logan, Iowa.
Yeah.
Who are they going to meet? So when they had that deal, but it always intrigued me that they kind of jumped right past me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mom, he really does sing well, and he's singing it for you, but he's only singing it for you because of me.
Yeah.
But here's the story. Get ready, because this is pretty wild. I love this story. And Don Nelson told it to me. So they're sitting there. They got their big poker game. And you ever been to Maui? It's only like one road on the whole damn island. So the traffic is unbelievable. I clipped off the tip of my finger in an accident there, and it took an hour to get to the hospital because it was just this one road.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I warn you, this is dark.
That's okay.
This friend of theirs comes in, and he's bringing in the big tray of sandwiches and chips. And
yeah.
And he sets it down on the table, and he drops over dead.
Oh, no. Okay.
He brings all the food in, brings the thing. He puts it on the table, and as he sets it down on the table, he dies right on the spot. And I'm looking at Don as he's telling me this story, and he's telling me this at Havana's. And I said, he said, why? You know how it is in Maui. He said, we called for the ambulance service. They said, it'll be an hour to an hour and a half before we get there. And I said, yeah. I said, I know. I said, God, what did you do? He goes, what could we do? We put him over in the corner and we played poker, waiting for the ambulance to show up. Here comes the king. I can't really do justice to it here, but picture this. Don Nelson, 6'7".
Yeah.
And he says, it was fine. He would have wanted us to keep playing. So he said, we had him leaned up against the wall. And he said that every time you get up to go to the bathroom, you had to step over him to get to the bathroom. And he actually gets out of his chair and he does the whole bit.
Yeah.
And I think you could have heard me in Mesquite. I was laughing so hard and so loud. Don Nelson at 6'7", Willie Nelson, all these guys. There's their dead friend in the corner. And to me, this is so sick. I just can't get out of my head. You son of a gun, I had 2 pairs, you got trips, and all right, you win. Hold on, I got to go to the bathroom. Step over there. That's the part. Playing with him there, I understand that.
Yeah.
Moving him to the corner, of course. Well,
sure.
You can't put him in a chair.
Yeah.
But stepping over him to get to the bathroom, I can't get that thought out of my head. So as soon as you contacted me the other day, I went, yeah, I got to tell that story.
Yes.
But it was just classic. It was just absolute classic. And hell, I've told it to a lot of people, and everybody looked at me and said, what do you laugh about? You do exactly the same thing. I said, I probably would.
Under that circumstances,
would.
right?
Yeah. Especially if the ambulance is not going to be there for an hour and a half.
What are we supposed to do?
What? I'm just going to sit there and look at my dead friend? No, I'm not. No, come on, deal. Shuffle up and deal. Let's go.
I don't know if you have any thoughts, and it's okay if you don't, but I remember when they did Dirk and not Paul Pierce, and then interviewer, he said, I knew that Dirk was the right thing for the organization in the long run, but I would not have been surprised if not picking Paul Pierce would get me fired. And I always thought that that tells you how much he knew basketball and knew much. Any
Yeah.
thoughts on that story?
The one that I try to bury, but since you've asked it, I'll have
Yeah,
to bring it back out.
sure.
I don't remember specifically how critical I was of that draft pick, but I'm pretty sure I was.
Because as you said, and I'm going to do a poor Dale impression, in a sport that is dominated by
American
black men, we draft a
foreign white
European guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you remember that line because I stand by it. That line was originally used in 1986 when the Mavericks had 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
In 1986. And as I said then, they drafted Uwe Blab, Detlef Schrempf, and Bill Winnington. Now, Detlef Schrempf turned out to be a decent player later. Uwe Blab and Bill Winnington, he rode the bench and waved a towel for Michael Jordan for a couple of years. But as I said then, you've got 3 first-round draft picks in a sport dominated by American blacks, and you draft 3 foreign white guys.
Yep.
And in 86, I think I was obviously right. Now, you fast forward, here comes Dirk Nowitzki, what was that, 99, 2000, something like that.
Yeah.
And he's 19 years old. And again, it just kind of smacked to me in the beginning, really?
Yeah.
A foreign white guy, because people forget this. I'm always intrigued by how people, they just, once it morphs, when Troy Aikman was drafted, so many people wrote some of the dumbest articles ever. The Cowboys will never win with Troy Aikman. He's not smart enough. He's too slow. Whatever their stupid reasoning was.
Yeah.
And then they just got to eat that after he wins 3 Super Bowls. So I had kind of learned my lesson from that. So I'm pretty confident that I didn't say the Mavericks will never win. Dirk Nowitzki's a bust. I never went that far. I questioned different moves. I thought,
sure,
I'm not sure, but I always tried to give myself an out, not to protect myself. It just seemed to make more logical sense to me.
Absolutely.
Why does a guy sitting in a newspaper office in Dallas or Fort Worth think he knows better than Jimmy Johnson? Now, you could question it, but you really just want to lay out a flat, hard statement that you know better, only to find out 3, 4, 5 years later you're an idiot?
Yeah.
But and then Dirk struggled for the first couple of years.
He did.
But the bottom line was, and I'm pretty confident in saying this, my basic attitude was just that. Really?
Yeah.
Another foreign white guy, but I trust in Don Nelson.
Yeah.
It just like I did, even more so in the beginning than I did with, say, Jimmy Johnson. But if you'll look up the old transcripts, I was very critical of a lot of things Jimmy Johnson did in 89. But about halfway through 89, I thought, I'd buy it. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm on board. Dave Wanstead and Joe Brodsky and all these different, Butch Davis, Tony Wise, all these guys convinced me that Jimmy Johnson knew what he was doing. Now, it took me a while to get there.
Yeah.
But I got there pretty quick. And I think it's one of the things that helped me with my Troy Aikman relationship, if you will.
Yeah.
Was that there's never anything from me that Troy Aikman is not going to make it.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but he seemed pretty good to me.
Yeah.
And I'm saying the same thing about Dirk Nowitzki. I had questions, and I probably raised those questions on the air. But I trusted in Don Nelson and Donnie, his son, the general manager, that let me see how this plays out. 30,000 points later and an NBA championship and a MVP and I'd say it worked out pretty well. Yeah.
You just had Troy on your podcast. Great hour of radio. He's just
fabulous.
great. Yeah. I, being a casual fan, was shocked how good he was at broadcasting because he never seemed comfortable on him. Right. And I think he said something about people don't understand the pressure of being the Dallas Cowboy quarterback.
Yep.
Did you, any stories about him?
Yeah.
Did you suspect he would be good at it? And
No, I
did
knew
it,
he'd be good at
okay,
it.
okay, talk to me a little about that if you can.
Yeah, I knew he would be good at it. And I said this to him. When this all started, and here again, a lot of guys, a lot of local guys, when Aikman got the broadcasting job, because he really wasn't all that good doing interviews in his locker. One, he knew there was this great pressure of being a Cowboys quarterback, as he talks about, but he also just hates dumb questions. Because most of us, including me, we ask a lot of dumb questions.
Yeah.
And when you do it week after week, and it's just the same stupid questions, Aikman just had this tendency to shut down.
Yeah.
In that group setting. At his house, late at night, on a golf course, over at Humperdinck's, having a beer. Oh, he was brilliant.
Yeah.
He had an insight. He had a way with words. He just knew. The story that prefaced this, I take him back to Iowa in I believe it was 1994. He goes back for my high school graduation. And so I had started this little small scholarship fund for the kids up there. And I said, I'm giving a little talk. And it's a typical high school graduation nonsense.
Yeah.
Believe in your dreams. Hey, look at me. You can do whatever you want to do. And I said, hey, I'm from Logan, Iowa. I was just like you, raised here. And now I travel the world with the Cowboys. And I've been to the World Series, Mickey Mantle. I tell all my stories. And then I go, Troy Aikman's a friend of mine. And people go nuts. Afterwards, every kid in the damn school came up like, you really know Troy Aikman?
Yeah.
Yeah. So after a game one night, we're up at Humperdinck's, and I said, hey, and I'm not denying alcohol might have played a role in this.
Sure.
But I said, why don't you go back to Logan with me next year and give out the scholarship? I said, the kids would go nuts. He said, yeah, I'll do that. Just like that. I'll do that. I thought, all right, he had too many beers.
Yeah.
But then I thought, I'm going to follow up on that. So I call him the next day, and he goes, oh, sure, I'll do it for you. I'd love to do it. I said, I'll take care of everything. We'll play golf. I'll take the hotel. No, fine, love to do it. Love to do it. And he did. But he said, I'm not going to give a speech. I said, oh, no, you don't have to give a speech. Just take a few pictures with the kids. Yeah. Hand the girl the check that I've given her, whatever. I introduce him, and I start my speech. And I said, last year I told the class, be all you can be, chase your dreams. I've been to the World Series. And I said, and I told last year's class, Troy Aikman's a friend of mine. Hey, Troy, are you a friend of mine? And I swear to God, Jess, I thought the building was coming down. He walks out, and the roar that went up.
Wow.
The gymnasium, it's a small gymnasium. I don't know how many people, but they probably had only 50 to 55 seniors.
Yeah.
So then multiply out parents, whatever. So, I mean, well, I don't know. I thought the building was coming down. Now, Aikman, for 2 days, we were in Iowa playing golf and whatever. And he is insistent, I'll do this for you, but I'm not going to give a damn speech. He walks out on stage. There must be something about Oklahoma, because the two greatest grins I've ever known were Mickey Mantle's and Troy Aikman's. They just got this cockeyed grin.
Yes.
Man, it looks great. It's just cool. And he walks out and he realizes what this means to these kids and their families. He walks up to me and he said, you want me to say a few words? And I said, I promise you don't have to. And he goes, no, I'll say something. He's got no notes. He's got nothing. He talks for about 15 minutes.
Wow.
And blows those kids out of the building. He talks about growing up in Henrietta. He talks about the pressures of being a rookie that nobody thought could play in the NFL. He talks about the demands on his time. And yet he talks about his mom, and it was staggering. And I've got the superintendent, who used to be my old high school baseball coach, sitting next to me, little league coach, actually, because he left to become a superintendent before I got to high school. And he's like a little girl. He's like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is the great, Dale, this is the greatest thing ever. So you fast forward a couple of years, Aikman and I are talking, and he said, I think I'm going to get into broadcasting. What do you think? And I swear to you, I said, here's what I'm going to tell you. If you get into broadcasting and you're the Troy Aikman, the quarterback standing at your locker, I give you about a year and a half. But if you're Troy Aikman, you're going to be a effing star.
Yeah.
You are going to be an effing star because you're smart. You know how to say it. He just has a gift.
Yeah.
You have the presence. You have the aura of being a Super Bowl champion. I said, quit trying to perform in front of a camera, in front of your locker to satisfy the requirements of doing these boring interviews. And be Troy Aikman. You will be a star. Because I knew he's one of the hardest workers ever, preparing and in everything he does. Everything he does it 10 times more than I certainly do. Maybe you, whatever. Whether it's his beer business now, the 8 beer, whether it's his car dealership he had, he doesn't do anything halfway.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, and that's another one of my favorites, was because so many people, Gordon Keith, I really like Gordon Keith on the ticket.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the funniest, most brilliant people I've ever known. But Gordon's was making fun of him all the time because of the way he talked. And Gordon did a bit on the ticket about, here's what it's going to sound like on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
And he does the monotone, boring, cliched answers from the locker room. And I told him, I said, just wait. I said, you're going to have to eat that someday. You're going to have to eat it. And he did. Because Aikman is just flat out brilliant in so many ways. And that same trip, we go back to my mom's house and damn near the whole town's knocking on my dad's door.
Sure.
So my dad took a couple of garden chairs and blocked the sidewalk up to our patio. So people stopped coming to the house because they wanted to get a picture or an autograph with Aikman. And he was as accommodating as could be, but I know he's getting tired of it.
Sure.
So my mom says, you want something to eat? So I got some fried chicken and potato salad. And we're sitting there before we got to get back to home on a catch a plane. And he looks up at my mom and he goes, this is the best potato salad I've ever eaten. And my mom just almost is a puddle of tears. We leave that night, the Des Moines Register, the statewide paper for Iowa, tracks down my mom somehow and says, we're trying to verify a rumor that Troy Aikman was at the high school graduation for Logan Magnolia High. And my mom's quote in the Des Moines Register is, not only was Troy Aikman at the graduation ceremony, he says, I make the best potato salad he's ever eaten. So I see this article. Somebody forwarded it to me. I call my mom and I'm like, what the hell is that? And she said, oh, Dale, you know how you reporters are. I was misquoted. My own mom says my business misquoted. Here's the best part of that story. I then call Aikman's mom, who was just this tremendous woman. And the dad was in and out of the picture a lot. And I called her, and I swear to you, Jess, it went down just this way.
Yeah.
I said, Mrs. Aikman, I just want to tell you, you have raised a remarkable son. I said, your son just blew everybody away in Logan. I said, they will never forget the day Troy Aikman came to their high school graduation. I just want you to know this. You've done an unbelievable job raising that boy. And then she immediately says, you know, he was just being nice about the potato salad. And I just start laughing because I'm thinking I start laughing. She goes, no, he knows I make the best potato salad. He was just being nice to your mom. There's no way your mom makes better potato salad than me.
Oh.
So when I retired, Aikman was my last guest on my last show.
Yes.
Which was only appropriate. And I'm doing this whole interview with Aikman. We're swapping a few stories, whatever. And then at the end, I said, by the way, I said, let's clear something up. You said back in 94 that my mom makes the best potato salad, but your mom said that you were just being nice. And now he starts laughing like hell because he knows where this is going.
Yeah.
And your mom said that you were just being nice because she makes the best potato salad. So I said, I want to know, does my mom make the best potato salad, or did you lie to my mom? Which is it? It's A or B. Did you lie to my mom, or does she make the best? And he's howling.
Yeah.
And he said, you can't believe how much grief I've gotten over the years from my mom about that, because her potato salad is really good. I said, so you're saying you lied to my mom? You lied to my mom, right? And everybody's just going nuts. Aikman's
Sure.
going nuts. We finish up. I thank you for doing the show. And then I get this email. I just love it. They said, Hansen, you're the only guy I know that could have Troy Aikman on your final broadcast, and you end up talking about whose mom makes the best potato salad. And I said, that's what I do.
That's why you did what you did.
But
Yeah.
no, Aikman, I knew. I just never had any doubts.
Yeah.
Because I was fortunate enough to get to know him behind the scenes a little bit.
Yeah.
And I knew a lot of my stories would come from him. And we're flying on the plane, and I had said something on the air, and obviously it came, or at least, and he was upset about it because it cost him some grief. Somebody on the team, the coaches, whatever, said, hey, damn you, you're talking to that damn Hansen. And I said, I didn't say it was you. I didn't say that it came from you. And this is another classic Aikman line. And he just looks at me and he goes, are there any other players on the team, on the plane with you right now? Who the hell do you think he came from? And I'm saying, here I was, I'm thinking, I'm protecting you. I'm dropping this bombshell of a little nugget that I got from you.
Yeah.
But I didn't say you. I'm protecting my source. And then Aikman, without missing a beat, just looks at me and goes, do you see anybody else on the plane? And I thought, wow. So from that point on, I had to be a little more careful as best I could. But I just love that guy. I don't know why, no particular reason. He said in Sports Illustrated one time, they were saying, when you were playing in 89 and 90, and if you remember, 89, he was horrible. 90, he wasn't much better.
Yeah.
The Cowboys were horrible. And there were just so many stories that Aikman's going to be a bust. He's never going to amount to anything. Skip Bayless, Jock Taylor, others were writing that. And this guy from Sports Illustrated is doing this story on him, and after they win like a Super Bowl or something. And they said, back in 89 and 90, there wasn't a person in town that thought you were going to be any good. And Aikman tells Sports Illustrated, Dale Hansen did.
Wow.
And he's so proud of that quote. He calls me. He said, you're going to love this, Hansen. I said, and I did. I like, wow. I mean, it was basically true.
Yeah.
But I never wavered. I just said, much like I tried to do, I said, yeah, he's not very good right now, but let's see how this plays out before I make a definitive statement.
Yeah.
And then obviously it turned out pretty good for him.
Turned out pretty good. And one of the things that I love, and I'll let you go, but how he always, my career was about winning championships, not worrying about passing yards or anything else. I knew that my legacy would be built on that. And there's just,
there's not a lot of guys who do that. No. Jimmy Johnson told me this. When he went to Miami, he had Dan Marino. Now, Dan Marino was a tremendous quarterback who set every passing record known to man. And let's count up his Super Bowl championships.
Exactly.
And now we're done.
Yep.
And Jimmy Johnson, who went to Miami for, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
Never won anything. And I swear to you, he told me, he said, I couldn't win at Miami because Dan Marino is not Troy Aikman. Dan Marino wanted to throw the ball, knowing he was good. He wasn't good, he was great.
Yeah.
But Aikman said this on my podcast, which is now airing, but Aikman said, and it's absolutely true, he could throw for 300 yards. He could throw for 350.
Yeah.
But on those occasions when he did, they usually lost.
Yes.
So Aikman, he threw for 400 against San Francisco in that one NFC championship game They lost.
And
When you look, Brett Favre set all the records.
yeah,
Yeah, one Super Bowl. What? Brett Favre didn't have any big, strong guys on the offensive line.
no,
Brett Favre didn't have any receivers who could run a 4.4 40. Please, come on. The difference is like this.
yes,
Aikman, one of the very, very few great athletes I've ever known, whose only consideration was, if that's what it takes for us to win, I'm in.
yeah,
I'm in. I'll throw for 197. We'll run the ball. We'll eat up the clock. We'll protect it. I don't need to come out here and, throw it 40 yards downfield to show off my strong.
Yeah.
But if you need it, I'm here. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And he talked about that a lot, younger and older.
yeah,
That so many young people today, even more, they look at these video game numbers, like Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Even Dak Prescott now. Dak Prescott is breaking every Cowboys passing record.
Yeah.
That basically Tony Romo didn't have. And how's that working out?
Exactly.
Yeah, they've won a couple division titles. They're not. How many championships did Romo win? How many championships has Dak Prescott won?
Yep.
And then I'm reading all these articles like Dak Prescott proven he's the greatest Cowboys quarterback. I said, shut up.
Yeah.
The only argument, well, actually, it's not going. There's three. There's Don Meredith, Roger Staubach, and Troy Aikman. Now, Danny White was really good.
Yep.
But,
boy, modern Cowboy fans would love if Dak could do what Danny White did, huh?
Oh, I guarantee you they would. I guarantee. 3 years in a row to the NFC Championship game, which Dak has never sniffed. Now, it's not all on Dak. I really like that. But there is something to be, and I still say, I used to argue this with Bob Sturman about he loved Brett Favre. Yeah, Brett Favre was great, but look at some of the throws he made. Look at some of the plays. Aikman didn't make that play.
No.
Aikman didn't scramble around and throw the interception. Look at his playoff numbers. His record only got better.
Yeah. Didn't he? He made it
away.
Yeah, didn't he? I think you and Brad used to talk about he hated the Hail Mary at the end of the thing because it's just going to screw my stats.
It's just, he knew, although I did think he was wrong about that, by the way.
Yeah.
But he hated it because number one, what is it, like 1 out of 50, maybe, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's almost always intercepted.
Yeah.
And he said, I hate throwing that ball because it's going to get intercepted. And then it wasn't because he was worried about his stats per se. He was worried about the fact that Bob Sturm or whoever would then start talking about, Aikman threw 12 picks last year. He threw 6 of them at the end of the half. And but I never once. Now, over a beer, late at night, there would be times where he'd say, it would get to him, as I absolutely think it would get to anybody.
Yes.
That they were winning championships with him throwing for 212 yards.
Yeah.
But he was completing 65, 68% of his passes. He didn't ever, I don't remember, I'm sure he did, but he didn't throw like the brain dead interception like Romo did on more than one occasion. Dak has done on more than one occasion. He knew how to protect the ball. He knew how to take advantage of the running game, all of that. He knew how to play the game with one goal and one goal only, and that's to win.
Yeah.
And if you need me to throw for 350 yards to try to catch up, I can do it. Probably won't work, which it didn't most of the time.
Yeah.
But I can do it.
Yeah.
But now we're into this video game numbers, and especially Shereen Williams, the first woman to ever have a vote on the Hall of Fame. And I saw her at an event the other night in Mansfield. And she was talking about this, that one of the problems that a lot of players have now, the older players, getting into the Hall of Fame, is all the younger voters are going, well, the stats. No, the stats are not the end all be all. At least they shouldn't be.
No.
They shouldn't be. There are hitters in baseball that hit 265 who are really good. There are guys that hit 300 that, doesn't amount to much. How do you play the game? And I think we've gotten away from that.
I think so too.
A lot of us as a society has gotten away from it because we're into the prop betting and the fantasy leagues. And
Yeah.
so then, and that's what I hate about fantasy leagues. But I just, again, I still, tell me what you won. That's why I like Michael Jordan so much. He won. I still think LeBron James, he won.
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he won. Oscar Robertson, who I happen to think is maybe the greatest basketball player of all time, never won anything.
Yeah.
He got one win at the end with Jabbar and everything, but he was staggeringly good. Google him up, everybody. But for our generation, in order to be recognized for greatness, you have to win. I think for the newer generation to be recognized for greatness, you got to put up numbers.
Yeah. And I think that's fair.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. All right, Dale, I'm going to let you go. Guys, Dallas Dialogue with Dale. I'll include the link. One of the things I love about you and Lila and them is you guys do a little bit of everything. You will
I do too.
You'll talk baseball, you talk football with Troy, and coming up for September is the homeless. And
fascinating conversation.
And I'm looking forward to it because I'm going to steal your thunder to promote it. You said, I'm a guy who believes he's got the answer to everything. And then this one, I don't.
This one, I don't. I love that line. Because it's true. And I also say you left out one part of that.
Okay.
I'm not saying my answers are right.
Yeah.
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 But look, you asked me, and I guess this makes me an arrogant jerk in the minds of a lot of people. But you asked me, what should we do in Iran? I have an answer. What should we do about the tax rates in America? I have an answer. What should we do about, just go through the list?
Yeah.
I've got an answer. Now, again, I'm not saying that I'm always right, but I do have an answer and an opinion.
Yeah.
How do we solve the homeless crisis in America? And I do think it's a crisis. I have no clue. And we have this pastor, Wayne Walker, on, who's works with the homeless daily in Dallas. And it was enlightening. Some of the things that I thought were just wrong of what I think about the homeless. Some of the solutions that I don't think are doable. Maybe. I found it fascinating. And what I do love about this particular podcast with Mark Biasano and Lila Levy is just what you said. We have Aikman on this month, which is just breaking all our records, obviously.
Sure.
Over 20,000, whatever.
Yeah.
But we had Mark Cuban, talking about his healthcare plans.
Yes.
A little bit of basketball at the end, but Cuban bore down on our healthcare problem. In the next month or two, I'm going to have a friend of mine, David McGee, who's a mentalist.
Oh, nice.
Puts on this staggering. I know there's a trick in there somewhere, but I don't care because I've had him at charity events. I've had him at my house for a Christmas party one year. And he just blew away the most cynical people that I know. They're all saying, like, oh, God, Hansen wants us to show. And his show is staggering. And he's going to do it for us on a podcast.
Nice.
And then we're going to talk to Shireen Williams about what it meant to be a woman sports writer in a locker room with a bunch of naked guys that dn't want her there. Yeah, and we've talked about immigration, and it's what I said. It's what I did on my sportscast. You might tune in. You might get a nice feature story on some high school kid. You might get me talking about Michael Sam, the gay football player. You might get me talking about the latest gun violence in America. Or you might just get some funny stories about Troy Aikman and the Cowboys winning another Super Bowl. And I like that. I don't know if it's going to work for the long term, but I know I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I think Mark and Lila are enjoying it. And people who give it a listen, they seem to be enjoying it as well.
Tell Mark and Lila, I love listening to all three of you, and I love the thing. Thank you so much for coming back again, Dale. This is a joy for me. I promise I'm not going to bug you too much, but if you tell me again anytime, I will have you back, Dale, my friend.
I was laughing, and I do mean this as an absolute joke. I met this buddy of mine from Finland on a cruise ship. His family, his mom and dad, he was 25 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And we playing poker on the cruise ship together and hanging out and having a beer on the deck and all that good stuff. So at the end of the cruise, I said, "Hey, listen, if you ever get a chance to come to Texas, you got to come look us up. You got to come see us."
Yeah.
He did it. Who the hell does that? So I was telling my wife, she said, "Didn't you just do his show?" And I said, "Yeah, but I told him I'd do it anytime." And Chris is like, "He thought you were serious?" But I am. I love doing it. As I've said to many people, I don't get out of the house much anymore.
Yeah.
So when I get an opportunity to talk about anything, especially when it's about Don Nelson or Troy Aikman or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm always available. And,
Hey, my friend, I appreciate it.
and,
I will
and-
not
and
take
Chris-
advantage of it.
And Chris actually enjoyed our conversation too. She said she thought you were very good. She said, "I'll tell you how good he was. He got in 4 questions in the hour. So he must have really had some stuff working." So anyway, it's always my pleasure.
Tell Chris that if I meet her in person, I'm going to give her a hug because that's one of the nicest compliments I've ever heard. Be safe.
From my
Talk to
side
you
of view,
soon.
it is. You're right.
Thank
Anytime,
you, buddy.
Jess.
Talk to you soon.
Anytime. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening, for being part of this journey. Your support means everything. If you've got thoughts, feedback, or just want to say hi, drop me a line at setlustingbruce@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. The podcast has its own Facebook page, Set Lusting Bruce, and Set Lusting Bruce on Twitter, aka X. I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter and would love for you to follow me. If you enjoyed the episode, head to your favorite podcast player and leave the podcast a review. Hopefully a 5-star one. It helps others discover the show and keeps the boss's stories flowing. Tell another Bruce Springsteen fan about the podcast. Share it on your social media. The best way for people to learn about Set Lusting Bruce and the stories we're capturing is through word of mouth, from one fan to another. For now, keep hope alive, and I'll see you further on down the road.